Well then, yeah, I don't quite know how to start this. Um, a new Sonic game got announced. Just yesterday on the Summer Game Fest. Uh, kinda unexpected, kinda expected, I don't know. Kinda expected them more to announce something, like, Frontiers DLC news or whatever. And of course announce this stuff on, Sonic's birthday, you know, the 23rd of June. But no, apparently they just announced it on the Summer Game Fest, which, I mean, fine by me, I guess, if that is something they're up to. Originally, I planned to do this. By the way, you can't ban the stream. I'm sorry. I'm I'm most deeply sorry about the fact that you cannot ban the streamer. Um, yeah. Originally, I wanted to do this with Smasher, but I don't know if Smasher got the tech stuff fixed. If Smasher's even awake, because I haven't heard anything from him today. Which, you know, it's fine. We will manage, I guess. We might need to do something other than the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog in that case, though. Because I would like to do this with him. But yeah, I would like to do this discussion today because it's just the most convenient. The game was just announced yesterday, and if I want to talk about it, might as well do it today. So yeah, that's my plan. There are a few things I want to address when talking about it, which I'll get into more detail when we get to it, but if you have any questions, you can ask. I don't know if I can answer them, but you know, yeah. I going to wait just a sec to see if I get a response still, but otherwise I'm just going to get started in a few minutes. I'm also later than usual, which I'm sorry, I guess, but got some stuff I needed to prepare and I arrived relatively late at home, which, you know, doesn't help the matter too much. But yeah, some exciting news, some meh news. Overall, it's interesting, but it's weird. I'll get to it. So yeah, first of all, hey, how's it going, everyone? Been a weird day for me. I couldn't sleep very well. And I swear, if there's one more spider that decides to get close to me, I'm going to burn down the whole freaking neighborhood. So yeah, I'm extremely tired, but otherwise I'm doing alright. True. Other news. I finished my game design document for the one game I wanted to do on stream soon. So whenever I have a free Wednesday, which is probably not going to be next week, although maybe? We'll see. I might be home early enough, but I'm not sure. Actually, that thing? It doesn't matter. I'll discuss that later with Selig. But yeah, so I can do that soon, and I want to get to that soon. Before that, I'll probably finish one animation off stream, simply so I have the basic animations, walking, jumping, that sort of stuff. So I can actually program a platformer. Which, I mean, technically you don't need it, but it's convenient. But yeah, that's basically everything about that. And yeah. Yeah, that's Red Volcano 2. The music from SLP2. Which, if you have seen my speedrun of SLP2, you would know that Red Volcano doesn't have a second level. But apparently a second level has been planned for a while now. It just hasn't been implemented. So yeah, that's that, I guess. And, yeah. Speaking of, I might do another run of that at some point. I don't know when either. Because I would like to implement some more strats, trying to find speed shoes, that sort of stuff. So that will be something we'll do at some point. But yeah, I'm a bit late, I'm tired, but I'll get started soon. I guess we can already watch the trailer. It's like, it shouldn't be too long, and I can, if more people come and watch it again. Also, there's a command for Aegis, which I'll explain what Aegis is later, but basically Aegis is a union of Sega of America workers. But yeah, for now, let's watch the trailer for this. Oh, I just noticed Fang is already in that shot. So yeah, this level looks interesting. So I'll get to talking a bit more about what we see in a sec. But yeah, basically Superstars is a new classic game, or in style of the classic games. Nope, no mobile game ad, please. Did I even? Yeah, no mobile. No map language. No mobile game ad, please. Yeah, basically, what we've seen so far is basically just a trailer, like obviously a trailer, but like First of all, this was the Summer Games Fest for those of you who have missed it, which was yesterday, like started yesterday, had a bunch of announcements, Final Fantasy Ever Crisis, like Final Fantasy 7 Ever Crisis, Rebirth, etc., etc. Um, and to give my quick summary of Summer Games Fest for what my opinion of it was fine, nothing too amazing. A lot of it was stuff we already knew about. So really, the most interesting part was the Final Fantasy 7 stuff and Sonic. Oh, and the fact that they had Pokemon with guns, but that's just weird. Like that was just weird in general. But yeah, the, it's weird that they announced the Sonic game now. Like considering Frontiers just released last year, it's still very much in the process of getting updates and everything and all that. So it is actually very interesting that they decide to do it this year already. But I'm not complaining, obviously. Like more Sonic is more Sonic, but it's an interesting choice, and I think it's interesting and worthwhile mentioning it. Um, but yeah, looking at the trailer, there's some interesting stuff. Of course, that it's now 3D or 2.5D more. Um, with them using the model from Generations and Forces, or at least one based on that. Uh, I don't know if it's actually the same model or not. Um, yeah. The physics seem interesting. I have not heard too much about, like, I have obviously not seen much of the gameplay besides the trailer, but it looks relatively similar to the classic games. Like, slope physics seem to be almost identical. Um, I don't know about the air physics, which a speedrunner mentioned, like a speedrunner I watched, Hats, I think we rated him once, uh, mentioned that the air physics are a bit weird. And I don't know how exactly, but yeah, jumping seems to be a bit different. They seem to be less. They seem smaller jumps in a way, and I'm not sure if that's just me or like if you look at that jump again, feels kind of low, but I'm not sure if that's just me being more used to other games. Um, Having rail grinding is interesting because the Rush games had rail grinding. I'm pretty sure the advanced games had rail grinding, so it's not new to 2D Sonic, but um, it's new to classic Sonic. Um, Interesting about this is the battening here. That's a model from, I'm pretty sure, Lost World, so they seem to be reusing some assets, which, by the way, is fine. Personally don't have an issue with reused assets. I'm just curious if how many new uh, actual enemies they have. Because that's, for example, also just the crab meat, even if it's very pixelated. Um, I like how, if you look at this level, we see it in two different versions. One time at noon and one time at dawn. Not dawn, dawn. How how time? Yeah, sunset, not dawn. Um, the different abilities, of course, of the characters are back, which shouldn't come to any surprise. I'm curious, can Tails recurl into a ball after flying, like drop, like cancel his flight animation? Yeah. There's Fang, as I mentioned earlier. I'm curious, I'm not sure if there's a drop dash in this. I haven't seen Sonic do a drop dash at least. And yeah, Knuckles, Tails, Amy, and Sonic are playable, apparently. And you can play with friends. This stage looks very interesting. I have no idea where it is. I'm curious to hear about it. I like the aesthetic. Although I kind of wish the rings and enemies and stuff were sprites instead of like pixelated models. Because like if you're already doing a retro reference, you might as well voxel models. Yeah, you might as well go all in. But it might just be going more with the way with the aesthetic, like in the background. I don't know. I mean, in general, I would prefer if this was a pixel art game, but that's just me. And I don't hate the models, mind you. I like how it looks. I'm curious about the abilities because, spoiler alert, you apparently get abilities for collecting the Chaos Emeralds. And I'm curious how that will work. The bosses look cool. And yeah, apparently Fang is in the game as well. As an antagonist, not as a playable character. Which I'm curious if that might have been influenced, the decision might have been influenced by Triple Trouble 16-bit and its popularity. Um, so yeah, it looks interesting, but I'm not sure if I'm sold on it yet. Like, there are still some questions I have about it. I mean, I'm probably going to play it simply so I can stream it, but you know. That giant fish Batmake looks awesome. And like there's an ability to walk on wall, one to swim up waterfalls. Which, by the way, is a neat thing to use the waterfalls that are anyway in a lot of Sonic levels. And use those as a level gimmick, more or less. even if I get the feeling it will often lead to just nothing, because there are just a lot of waterfalls in Sonic levels. But we'll see. It's interesting that they bring the Sonic 1 special stages back, considering absolutely no one cares for them, as far as I know. Um, which is probably not true. There are people who like them. Again, the bosses are really interesting with, for example, the attack pattern here with the different spheres. And this discount Defect Robot. Yeah. Interesting to use this as a first boss or second boss as well, but this will probably follow the formula of Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Mania as well, where we have like a mid boss in the middle of each stage, and then which is just a more powerful robot, and then an major boss, which is an Eggman boss, like actually controlled by Eggman. The ability to multiply is weird, but it could be interesting. Just kinda curious what they are going to do with that ability beyond just attacking boss. But to be fair, there's not much of a reason to do anything else with the ability, and that's fine. It has a purpose, and it does that purpose well. That section feels weird but interesting. Like the squid section or jellyfish section. I like that the jellyfish actually have somewhat of the personality of the characters. Also obvious reference to Pac-Man, but like the more neutral expression of Tails, the slightly cocky, confident expression on Sonic, the angry look on Knuckles. You get the idea. Yeah, I get what you mean. I personally like sprites, but that's just me. Also, hi Zero, how are you? Um, but I get it. The models are an interesting new approach. It also reminds me with the look, kind of reminds me of the Kirby remake, the Kirby's Return to Dreamland, which I haven't played yet. I want to play it at some point, but I didn't have the time. But yeah, that's something it reminds me of as well, with the um, just the way it looks in general kind of reminds me of it. Not quite the same outlines the Return to Dreamland had, but a similar vibe, I guess, with the models and the 2.5D. The abilities are interesting. We have like walking on walls like this, which is probably going to be a bit situational, considering we barely see any walls throughout the trailer. Like, there are basically no walls, so it feels kind of redundant to make it an ability when it could just be a level element. Which I think Lilac, what was it called? Freedom Planet has such a gimmick as well. So, like level gimmick. So it feels a bit weird having the half pipe as a specific ability you unlock, but I also don't mind it too much. Here's the thing. Since you unlock the abilities via the Chaos Emeralds, which by the way, they say that on the page for Superstars, which, by the way, I might as well post that link in chat. If anyone wants to check it out. But yeah, basically, on the page they mentioned stuff like, sorry, um, Aided Fang is an antagonist here. Like, wow, that's one sentence. Oh no, it isn't. I just didn't see the period. But yeah, navigate gorgeous, never before seen environment solo or with up to 3 other players, and stop Dr. Eggman, Fang, and a mysterious new adversary, from converting the island's giant animals into badniks before. Oh, giant animals. I didn't know that was a thing because the trailer kind of doesn't show it much. I mean, there's the giant badnik, obviously, but it isn't much addressed in the trailer. Because I think it isn't really relevant. This is a classic Sonic game. The story is going to be we're going to stop Eggman. I'm honestly the most interested in what this new adversary is. Which we know from a tweet. Like, I don't know what the exact source for this tweet is, so take it with a grain of salt. Uh, but they seem to be a good source, I don't guess. Uh, but yeah, they basically mentioned that the new character has been designed by the original designer of Sonic, like Naoto Oshima. Am I pronouncing that right? I'm probably mispronouncing it. The biggest point here is the new uh, enemy, which we don't like antagonist, which we don't know who that is going to be. Um, it's going to release this fall, like fall for the northern hemisphere, because I know the southern hemisphere it is currently fall there. Um, as Frampercent so kindly reminded me yesterday. But yeah, it's going to be. This is probably the most weird thing about all of this slash controversial slash whatever. Um, it's going to be $60, like 59.99. Which is a lot considering I could get Frontiers for less than it by now, if I remember correctly. Um, so a bit of a weird decision on their end. Okay, Frontiers is still yeah $60. That's probably the weirdest part about this. Is it on Steam by now? Because that's another thing I noticed. It isn't on Steam so far. It is going to be on Steam, but it isn't yet. But yeah, it's going to be $59.99, which yeah, that's what I'm wondering as well. This is a lot for a classic Sonic game, especially also considering Mania, which sure Mania is maybe a bit overhyped, but it is still a very good classic game, and that's €20. I mean, I also get most games on sale. I might not get Superstars on sale simply because I want to stream it when it comes out, but yeah, Mania. I think even Mania could be a bit more expensive. Like, I genuinely think Mania is good, but even Mania isn't $60 good. And that's a whole different discussion about game pricing, which I've watched a podcast about that recently, which I don't think, unfortunately, it got on YouTube. If it did, I'll post it at some point. I don't know. Um, but yeah, it has co-op multiplayer, which is cool, I guess. Um, the emeralds unlock powers, which is also said on the homepage, like harness the power of the emeralds, multiply, swim up waterfalls, change form, and more. Which A feels very much like the wisps, which I like the wisps personally. I don't know if using the design philosophy is necessarily good. I think it's probably going to work better in a 2D game than a 3D game like Forces, Lost World, and um, Colors V. I think the wisps in Colors DS were excellent. Like, genuinely good. But yeah, apparently the island is called North Star Islands, which make your Fist of the North Star joke now. Um, drop in and drop out co-op is cool. Like, that's genuinely cool. Uh, Going to be curious how that actually turns out, but it's probably going to be fine. Uh, Fang appearing is a bit weird. So Fang has a weird status in the series, right? Um, on the one hand, Fang is pretty popular. He's has been in several fan games, Sonic Roboblast 2, recently Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, which, to be fair, is just a remake of the game where he originally appeared in. Um, so Fang reappearing is interesting. Because the last game he appeared was Sonic Fighters, which was ages ago, pun not intended. Um, and yeah, subscribe. um, no, there are a lot of interesting screenshots here where you see some of the levels. This looks really interesting. I like the aesthetic of like the scrap combined with the more uh, jungle kind of vibe. Um, this looks like a generic green hill, but it's pretty, so I'm not complaining. Um, Amy, of course, has a hammer and stuff. Knuckles can glide. This looks like he's doing the super peel out, which is interesting. Because that implies the super peel out will be back. Which I personally don't really care for the super peel out much, but it is a neat tool and I don't think removing it would serve any point, so having it is neat. Uh, yeah. Nothing out of the ordinary, obviously, but neat. And a neat way to, try out a new aesthetic. Yeah. They have a newsletter which you can subscribe to the newsletter and get like a code for DLC. Like basically nothing out of basically like Sonic Frontiers had the SA2 shoes, like the soap shoes, which you could get with subscribing to the newsletter. The same they have now with interestingly modern Amy design, like Amy's modern design, which I guess makes somewhat sense because Amy got like the most radical redesign of all of them. So having an option between both of them is neat, I guess. What is a bit weird if we go on this, you have to select one of the platforms it's on, but when I subscribed to it, there was Windows as an option. That isn't an option anymore. And Steam also isn't an option, which is I'm kind of worried it will be Epic exclusive again. At which point, screw that shit. Um, but yeah, we'll see how that will develop, I guess. Um, yeah. Again, I'm curious what the Windows 10 isn't an option anymore. Yeah, it's kind of weird. The name Superstars, by the way. I'm stuck, huh? Well, the name Superstars is like it's kind of boring. I don't really care too much, but it's kind of boring. Like it's such a generic. Oh, we made a new game that is supposed to appeal to all kinds of people. How do we call it? Superstars. You get what I mean. Which is also funny because it coincides with turns out there's a game called Sega Superstars. And I mean for a while now. 2004. Which I guess that's why they don't see an issue with, you know, calling it Sonic Superstars because realistically, who remembers Sega Superstars? Yeah. So that's my rant about the name of the game. Um, I find this section in the trailer interesting, by the way. I don't quite know what this is supposed to be. Is this supposed to be a new ability, or is this like a special stage? I don't know. And it looks cool, don't get me wrong, it's just odd, I guess. Definitely not what I would have expected. Here it does say it releases on Steam, which is interesting. Um, so I don't know. That's a bit weird. And now to the elephant in the room, I guess. Except that's the weird part. Nobody really talks about this. At least as far as I'm aware. So a little bit of context first. Aegis is a union of workers at Sega of America. They have recently started efforts to unionize, and if you check out just a few hours, I think, before the reveal, Aegis made a tweet talking about Sega management trying to or deciding to interfere with their efforts to unionize, which I'm not an expert on how unionization works. I think it's a good thing. Union Unions are pretty nifty, I think. Um, and yeah, I don't quite understand what exactly happened. And but as far as I understand, this tweet doesn't actually say anything about what uh, Sega management did. So it's kind of weird. This is like the only source I can find for that as well. Like the actual Twitter account of Aegis. Um, which is weird. Like Sega hasn't made a statement yet. At least as far as I know, I'd need to check. Hang on. So yeah, the issue is currently, I don't know what happened. We have basically no other source than this tweet, which I want to believe them because, again, unions are pretty good, and if they are, and I want to believe that if they are saying Sega is interfering with them, they don't just say it for no reason, obviously. I don't want to believe they are lying. But I don't have much of a reason to believe them right now. Like, again, this is just a tweet saying Sega did interfere, like, decided to interfere. Not showing us anywhere where they decided to interfere, how they decided to interfere. So, as a layperson, this is difficult to comprehend. Yet, I still think it's important to point out, mention it, because, again, unions are important to secure workers' rights, to uh, get companies and workers on an equal playing field, so they can actually discuss proper working conditions. That's good, and that should be supported. So I thought it was important to point out, especially in light of that new announcement of a new Sonic game, that happens just as Aegis announces that Sega decided to interfere. I kinda don't want to be I kinda can't believe that that's just a coincidence. I think that's a problem that should be acknowledged, and that's why I'm mentioning it here. I'm not saying don't play the new game. Neither are they saying it. In fact, they mention in the tweet. They ask of Sega fans to retweet the thread. So if you have Twitter, do that. Uh, I think it would help out a lot. The petition they have is basically writing a letter at Sega management to request them to actually cooperate with the Aegis. And of course continue playing the games. Because at the end of the day, they don't really benefit that much if people just stop playing Sega games, because at that point they are not making money, Sega is not making money, nobody's really happy. Um, but yeah, it is important to point out during all of this that this is happening. And I urge all of you to keep up with this. I'm trying to keep up with it as well. Probably will mention stuff on stream regularly. So yeah, um, that's that, I guess. So yeah, that's, I guess, Sonic Superstars. Um, okay, I'm probably going to take a break in a short moment anyway, and I think we discussed everything important about this. I'm probably going to edit this and throw it on YouTube. Don't know yet. But yeah, that's basically the situation with Sonic Superstars. And again, I think it's not quite a coincidence that um, they did the whole announcement with Sonic Superstars. I don't think they deliberately like waited for the moment Aegis would make that announcement. Like to get to Summer Game Fest, obviously you need to have like big preparation before. Like you can't just waltz into Summer Games Fest with uh, a random game and be like, oh yeah, can you add that to the show? Obviously not. I'm more saying that um, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying honestly. It's weird. It's just a weird situation. Um, because again, it doesn't. It feels weird that this happens both at the same time. Like it feels too weird to be a coincidence. But at the same time, the only one who could really plan that would be Aegis. Because, Sega would have to prepare ages in advance. Pun again, not intended. Ages in advance to get the trailer to Summer Game Fest. So I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird situation. And I'm not an expert in all of this, so I don't want to make a definitive judgment on all of this. It just strikes me as odd. So yeah, that's basically all there is to say about this. And I just realized I didn't play any music in the background while discussing all of this. This is going to be awkward. I might just edit some music into the background when I do this, like when I put this on YouTube. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention before. I need to restructure this so much when I actually put this on YouTube. But yeah, one thing I needed to mention, or not really needed to mention, but I thought it was interesting to point out is early trailers of the trailer on the website had initially a different title screen for this game, which I don't know what it means. It might just be a working title. But yeah, originally apparently this was called Sonic Orion, which I guess the reason they changed the name was because it's too similar to Origins with literally the same characters and everything, so I can see them going like, okay, maybe that's not the best name. But I thought it was interesting to bring that up. It's especially interesting because that implies that they changed it relatively late in development. Or made the trailer relatively early in development, but considering how polished the trailer already looks, I don't think so. Yeah. So yeah, that's my basic thoughts about Sonic Superstars. It's an interesting thing, and I'm excited to see where it goes, but I'm also like, there's a lot of weird things going on with this, and I'm curious to see how it goes. And of course, the price range is also very dubious. Um, like 60 $60 for this is a bit. They better blow me away with this game. Let's say it this way. So yeah, that was Sonic Superstars. That was the discussion. Um, I'm going to take a quick break now. I don't know what I'm going to do next because I'm probably going to do Persona because Smash isn't awake yet, and you know I can't. I would like to do Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog with him, so probably going to do Persona instead, which is fine. I'll anyway. Mm, it's anyway a weird stream. I'm probably not going to stream for too much longer. But I enjoyed the discussion. I'm I'm very curious about how this will turn out, but no, don't know. I'm going to put it on YouTube anyways. Because if I should put anything on YouTube, that would be pretty convenient. But yeah, I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll get to whatever we get to next. Uh, See you in a bit.